This review is presented by EVDANCE.
Feels so undramatic, relaxing, reassuring, and confidence-bringing. I completely adore the shape, the look, the bold design, the elegant design, and the muscular feel that this bike shows up with wherever it rolls in. This is so amazing. And the thing about its amazingness is that you can just walk around this for several minutes and just absorb the design of it. It just looks so futuristic, yet so sleek. And there is just one single thing that I don't really like about its looks, and that is the headlight. Even though it blends well together with the overall design of this bike, very sleek, very modern, I would still like to have some form of nostalgic look to it, an older headlight of some kind. But it's not bad, and I will just say that there are about none negatives about this bike, according to me. The Ducati Xdiavel, so it's the latest Diavel. And the best thing about it, which I like, is that it is a bit schizophrenic in the way that it has been put together. Because Ducati says that this is something that sits in its own space. It has no competition. You can surely find something that is pretty similar to it, but as they say, that it hasn't got any competition and that it sits in its own space, that makes it really fun. I like that, because it is supposed to be a cruiser, that's what they say, but at the same time, it's a naked super missile for any road or track. So it just blends together well in that schizophrenic world. And it's just so smooth to roll off with. Being this type of bike that feels very big, very muscular, long, stretched. It's got a new, longer chassis, this Xdiavel. Just makes you feel like, well, this is gonna be a bit of a job moving around. But it's not. It's not like its competitor. You want to call that a competitor, the Rocket 3 Storm. That weighs a bit more and is a bit more to lug around, especially when you drive at lower speeds. But this one, you get through tight spaces and in tight traffic in city. The steering is just so immediate, even though it's very wide, the handlebar. And it is very special. All in all, this is a very unique bike. It has a very strong stance, presence about it when it rolls up from all angles, and especially that rear tire, 240mm tire, that is big. It gives it plenty of grip in all situations. And bikes that have these very large rear tires, they might be a little lame when it comes to flickering around quickly, but this one, it feels like a small naked bike. It's not a street fighter, it's not a Panigale in that way, but it sure is very alive when it comes to moving around. The only thing that lets it down a little at lower speeds, when you drive under 3,000-4,000 RPM, is this cylinder deactivation. So it cuts one cylinder and just runs on one cylinder to maintain a lower heat from the engine, and of course also keeping the fuel consumption down. I just think that is something that you need to learn how to drive, how to tame it, give a little throttle, and then you're fine with that. But it can be a little juddery in some situations there. And of course it's got the quick shifter, so yeah, the shifts, putting in another gear, that is very quickly done. And when gaining some more speed on on the motorway or some other roads for that matter, it doesn't feel like the wind wants to rip you off that bad. They worked some with it, and that is very cruiser-like. It feels like the wind just cuts around you. This tank is extremely wide as well, and as you can see, my legs, they are a bit protected from the wind and from some rain, if it would start to rain, so you don't get that cold in this area down here. And it also lets the wind all around you. You sit a bit lower, as on a cruiser. That also makes the wind cut above you. So even though it feels naked, Hyperbike, super sport, cruiser, it's not that bad with the wind at higher speeds. And it is so stable. There's like no vibrations whatsoever on this bike. This GranTurismo V4 engine is a thing of art. It is so smooth and it gives so much torque at almost all levels. So you have 126 Newton meters of torque, and at around 10,000 RPM, you get 168 horsepower. I mean, this thing, it flies.
And some of the new main features of the Xdiavel is that the foot pegs has been moved forward. First time I sat on it, picked it up, I thought that this feels rather awkward because you sit low back, low, and then you need to stretch your legs, you know, rather much forward. But after about 10 minutes, everything felt rather neutral, very comfortable, and most of all, really cool. And I say cool in that way that the bike is, of course, super cool in the way it is, but the way it makes you feel cool, that is something really special. And this one, it really does. Because you get into a position in this new seat that has better stuffing, is a little lower, a little wider, and also the rear passenger seat, it is wider from before. That was a bit narrow. You sit like in a cup bucket seat in it, and you sit very, very firm. You can't move around at all, and you need to stretch forward, and you stretch your legs forward. That makes you get into a position that I know won't fit everyone, but I just love it. Because the thing is that you might feel like, how am I gonna be active on this one? I mean, it's still a monster of a bike, and it is short, quick. So how am I gonna lean forward and all of that? But you can. You can feel it a little in your lower back in the beginning, but when you just relax and get into it, you get your seating position just correct and right, and everything is just perfect with the world. If you live with a plug-in hybrid car or an electric car, well, you need a charger. This is the EVDANCE portable charger. Very sturdy, very easy to use. Just plug it in, 220, 240 volts socket, and off you go. You get 3.68 kilowatts of charging power. The heart, the engine, well, it's the V4 GranTurismo. It's 1158 cc's, producing 168 horsepower, 126 Newton meters of torque, so it's really strong. It comes from the Multistrada V4, and the engine, it could sit in any touring bike because it is totally vibration free. Still, you can rev it all the way up to 11,000 RPM, and it just flies. And the thing about it as well is how nimble it feels. Wet weight on this one is 229 kilos. So very easy to maneuver. Even though you stretch forward, it's very soft when you want to steer, and you can get through tight spaces, through traffic, and you get your feet flat on the ground. So you got plenty of grip, plenty of balance, and this V4 engine gives it a better center of gravity. So everything is just so much under control when it comes to balance. And when you want to drive really, really quick on some curvy, demanding roads, the crankshaft also rotates in the counterclockwise direction, so everything becomes a bit more balanced. Earlier you had a belt drive, but since 2023 you got a chain, so it delivers a lot more power from scratch. The single-sided aluminum swing arm on it, and you got a very, very big tire, a 240 at the back. And the brakes at the front are the 330mm discs with Brembo's Dilemma 4-piston radial calipers with cornering ABS, and when you really push them hard, you get to a stop in no time. They're almost, or are just as strong as on the Street Fighter and the Panigale. Excellent brakes. Many bikes that I've been driving before that has this very, very thick rear tire might be a bit difficult to, move around, but this one, you barely notice it, and still, you got so much grip. So if you want to use the launch control, or if you want to drive when it is wet, well, you got some more grip. And those Pirelli tires, they just get perfect heat in them, and they work so well in the wet, so you can be reassured every time you drive.
And now let's just talk about how it feels to sit on when cruising, because, well, if they want it to be a cruiser, now we need to find out if it is. And I've been driving some on it now, and I must say that I am extremely relaxed on it. I don't feel any fatigue whatsoever, especially not in my bum, because this seat is one of the more comfortable that I've been riding on since I've been riding a very, very comfortable tourer, whenever that was. So I like it a lot, but still, you are sat in a position that is locked in, so it's very sporty at the same time. And the suspension is also upgraded. You can set the rebound in the front suspension a little if you want to do that, but as a whole it's extremely soft. It takes all the complexions in the road, small bumps, and when it starts to, like the road is starting to break up, very, very nice. And I just don't think that it's such a stretch to the handlebar either. It just feels very good. You got your cruise control here, push that right buttons here, and then you set it by pushing down, and then you can increase the speed pushing up or pushing down. It lives on its torque, but it also lives on high revs. You can rev all the way out to 11,500 RPM, so it's still a very, very sporty bike. And it is so stable, and it's so drama-free in the way that it carries speed. That's compared to the Street Fighter that I was driving just the other week, and the latest Ducati that I drove. Well, that is drama. That is something that you need to learn how to drive quick, effective, and fast on, and be very definite with. You also need to drive it on the track, because that's where that one belongs. This one, well, it belongs on the track as well. You can drive this on the track, and you can chase a lot of other super sports bikes with this one. And that's what I think is cool. Something that isn't the most fastest, but still fast enough to make your eyes water of joy and thrill. Just love to use that rear brake. It's so comfortable because your leg is stretched forward. So it's just like in a car. And of course, with that wide tire, it's a lot of grip. So now let's get into sports. And yeah, becomes a completely different animal here. Well, it's rapid. And these are the type of roads that this bike wants, long sweeping roads.
The front shock absorbers, well, you can mechanically adjust them 50 millimeters if you want to do that, but it hasn't got any adaptive chassis or something like that, like on the Street Fighter or the Panigale. So no Ergonomics dampers on it. And you might wonder why that is on such an expensive bike that costs more than 300,000 Swedish crowns, or about 28 to 29,000 euros. There is also a kit that you can mount your foot pegs a little further back if you would want to do that. But this is the thing about this bike. You should have them set, placed right where they are. And if we're talking about the engine, it's got cylinder deactivation. That is also maybe a little negative, even though I thought I come around that now. But the thing is that it cuts off. So when you drive under 3,000 RPM, it might get a little choppy, a little bumpy and juddery in some gears when driving at lower speeds and getting about a roundabout or into some corners. So you just need to throttle a bit more. And you can change that. It's some sort of homologation thing about it. So you can't fire up both cylinders all the time. But you save fuel and it doesn't become that hot as well. So it's some positives about that, but you just need to throttle a little extra. And when it gets hot and when you're above 4,000 RPM, well, then they're fired up and then it just moves on like a real cruiser. And there's a really, really nice sound to it as well when it gets a little hot. So it feels like a cruiser, but yet just push on and it feels like you're sitting on one of these sport bikes, these real super sport bikes. So the tank is very, very wide, looks beautiful to look and behold from all different angles. And thanks to that, it's rather wide here. You can get your knees under here. So when it was starting to rain a bit, I didn't get that wet in this region, which is really good. I also like this wide handlebar because the side mirrors, you can see very good back. On the other bikes, I thought that, my shoulders was in the way. And of course, this beautiful exhaust system. Look at those 4 outlets here that just melts together. You can opt for another exhaust if you want that. Then it will give you 11 horsepower more. Beautiful star-shaped rims, looks really, really neat because it opens up that nice when you just got a single swing arm on it. The rear lights, also very nice. Before they were a bit more back here, but now it just flows on each side of it, hidden under here. So neat, becomes so clean. And this is Italian design at its very, very best. 2 new colors. This is the Burning Lava. Looks very elegant. You can also get it in black lava. That would look really, really mean on this one. But still, it gives a better contrast, I think, with this red color. The cast aluminum monocoque frame is new and the chassis is stretched on this one. So the ride becomes a lot more relaxed. And you can feel that when driving at higher speeds, it just goes like a train through all wind, weather and whatnot. And the first day of driving it, I thought that this position, even though I like it a lot and it works now, I got relaxed into it, I thought that this is not really suited for longer trips. But the more I've driven it, the more I just am convinced that that really works. As soon as you get relaxed in it, then you are relaxed and it works so well. But at the same time, this is a bike that you should just pop up at some cool meets with, cruise around, and if you want to be a bit active, get out on the road because it's got a lot of these very, very sophisticated systems. You got launch control, you got the Ducati wheelie control, engine slip control, traction control, ABS. You can set it in so many different configurations to make it just personalized for you as a driver. So this is a very capable one, and that's just what I love about bikes. Something that you can relax on, look cool on, just let people enjoy its looks, its beauty. But then if you want to be active, get out there and give it a go. So one of the closest rivals to it of how it looks and what it wants to be is more or less the Triumph Rocket 3 Storm. The engine in that one is of course different because it's a lot bigger displacement. 2,500 cc's, well, that makes up for almost double the torque figures. But still, I find this a lot more sporty, and that's the thing about Ducatis. They have that engraved into their body and their soul and their character. Very, very sporty ambitions about it. And this one, it just carries that over from all its other brothers and sisters.
I've been driving a lot on these roads and there are lots of complexities here. And it banks a little and stuff, but my God, does this behave well here. Wow. And the brakes. Wow. That is reassuring, knowing you have Really, really strong brakes. Cornering, ABS, of course. But it's so cool when you get into sports and you really want to get into some corners and be a bit more active. Then it just transforms to a completely different bike than it looks. And in second gear, if you want to, well, you can do a wheelie. So much control. It just feels like any sports bike in some way. I'm just amazed of how this one feels for being a cruiser, an attacker, a naked hyperbike, or whatever you want to call it. And that's the cool thing. You can call it a bit whatever you want, because at one stage it is this super bike, and then all of a sudden it is a cruiser, a relaxing one. But it takes on the road so well. It feels so undramatic, relaxing, reassuring, and confidence bringing in some way. Of course, the speed is crazy. Pulling that throttle, live on the torque, let it rev out, and you will be more than satisfied with its performance.
Stepping on it is a breeze. You got keyless go on this one, so you just push, and then you get this very, very beautiful display of Xdiavel as it gets painted there. And the cluster is extremely good in graphics. It's updated, so it's quicker, and I just think that it's intuitive now. I've been driving a couple of Ducatis now lately, so I find this system very, very easy. You got cruise control, very easy to set that. You got quick settings, so you can hold that and you can get into menus. Here you got lap timer, you got your Ducati power launch. So the power launch, you can set that into beginner, normal, and pro. And that just works out the type of slip and rev. And then you get down to views, you got your little trip computer, power torque meter, a G meter, your total, you got your trip, you got your range, and your consumption. So pretty basic, but looks good. And the thing is that you need to look down to get the information, because it is centered a bit lower, and I just love that. Flashing the lights here, and yeah, there's your horn. Indicators, you can set them automatically, so they shut off when you get into a corner. Start it there, you can lock it here, and here you change your running daylight. Different modes, of course. When you're standing still, you can choose and set the setup in each of them. You got touring, you got urban, you got wet, and you got sport. And then you just set your power if you want to have it mid, high power, or low power. Just customize it in whatever way you want. And the different modes, well, they cut a bit of the power and some of that urgency from the throttle inputs. When you go into wet, well, it's reduced to 116 horsepower, and the reaction from the throttle is very slow. But that is good, so you don't slip in the wet. The fuel tank takes 20 liters, so you can get fairly far on one fill up. And it isn't that thirsty, actually. I mean, when that cylinder deactivation, well, is active and you drive slow, get into the right gear, because you can live on the momentum. So you don't need to be very active of changing gears all the time. Of course, you got the quick shifter as well. When driving really hard, that is, of course, very, very effective, but when driving slowly, it works very well as well. And I've averaged about 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers combined when driving a bit, more calm in a cruising way, which is rather good for a powerful bike like this. The seating height is 770 millimeters. Just feels so good, and just to behold it when you sit this far back, everything feels so stretched, so it feels like a real cool low-rider cruiser in some way. I just can't get enough of this bike. I completely adore it.
I love this bike. This is the type of bike that I could think of living with. It's got the attitude, it oozes with attitude, it's got style, strength, precision, performance, well, the whole package. And such quick gear shifting. And a good thing is that you can just live on third. You do not need to be hectic with your gears. Live on third gear and just push it out because the torque is there. Rev it out, brake, and then on it again. Wow. Ducati power launch. Activate that. Pull the clutch. You get 3 launches and then it needs to rest for I don't know how many minutes, or if you need to turn it off. You know, for tear and wear protection. This bike is magnificent in all its nature. I love this one. And the dangerous thing about it is that it's so vibration free, so smooth in its power delivery, and the whole experience is so smooth that when you get up to speed, and even though the wind doesn't pull you off because it's so aerodynamically well calibrated or shaped, that you reach so high speed so quickly in a comfortable way. Yeah, so that is just dangerous, masking that speed. So you really need to know what you're doing. Astonishing.